I hope you've managed to have a chance to clap for the amazing NHS and, well, not over here, it's not the NHS, is it? Everybody that needs support right now, these wonderful essential workers and key workers. So I'm here tonight to talk about food issues and also guilt around our kids right now as we're locked down, trying to work from home, and we've got our kids at home with us. So usually when I'm talking about food issues, and up till now, I'm often giving you practical steps of ways to cope when it hits, you know, when the food craving hits. Tonight I'm going to take a slightly different tack, and it's something I'm going to sort of tell my own story a little bit. So the first thing I want to kind of describe about sort of food issues, what do I mean by that? So really what it includes is overeating. It's also known as emotional eating, comfort eating, food craving, sabotage. There's all sorts of different kind of names to describe it. And the signs really to look out for, if you think, I mean, I think we know if we're kind of eating in that way, would be, are we thinking about food all the time, outside of meal times? Are we thinking about what we're going to eat before we get to the end of our meal? So what are we going to eat next? Are we kind of feeling low and just wanting to sit on the sofa and drink cups of tea and snack on stuff? It's that kind of thing, really, isn't it? It's sort of, you know, that we're already full, but we're still wanting something. We're wanting to fill a hole. And it's a subject close to my heart because I've struggled with my own issues around food. I was brought up in a family with a really sweet tooth on my mother's side, and I used to watch my mother spooning kind of whipped egg yolk, or was it egg white? Whipped egg whites and sugar into her mouth sometimes, and having lots of chocolate and things. And I've grown up with a really sweet tooth, and I do have times when I'm using the food as more than just to fill, you know, when I'm hungry, I'm sort of using it to feel better. And it's quite difficult to talk about it because it's an, you know, there's an emotional reason why we do it. And I noticed, and this happens to me every so often, is that I will go through phases where it just doesn't feel right. You know, I'm using, I can tell I'm using it to try to feel better. And it's something that happened to me quite recently where I was feeling like that. And it was only after a few days of doing it that I was able to figure out what it was. And this is what I really want to share with you today, because what typically happens for me, and I think it happens for when I talk to clients and things, typically happens for them too, is that we give ourselves a really hard time. We focus on the fact that we're focusing on the food. We blame ourselves for not having the willpower, not being disciplined, for being bad in some way. We criticize ourselves. We give ourselves a really hard time. And I've known for a long time that that is not a very effective way to stop me from continuing to eat chocolate when I'm full and when I've already had some. And what I do know is that when you talk to yourself in a loving way, that can help. But what I noticed when I was doing it recently was I had a mixture of giving myself a really bad time about it and saying, you know, why can't you stop? As well as trying to be loving to myself and feeling like there's something more to it. There's something going on here. And this went on for days, and I just couldn't get to the bottom of it. I could not figure out why I was doing it. And I was back in that trap of just focusing on my behavior and not being able to get underneath and understand and get behind the behavior. And then finally, the revelation came, the realization came of what it was about. And it stems back to a decision I made some time ago, that I want to be the best that I can be. And to be the best that I can be requires more than just saying those words. And more recently, I've felt that even more strongly. That desire to be the best that I can be has felt even stronger. And it's particularly in the work I do with my clients, and the importance I feel of my work to help clients overcome their health issues and, reach amazing vitality and reach their goals. And what I realized after a few days of eating the way I was and gradually feeling really bad about it was that what was happening was that, and this is something that is out of your control, I think, is that there are certain times in your life when your soul wants you to move forward, when it wants you to step up, when it wants you to change and shift and move into the fullness of who you are. And you can't always dictate when that's going to be. You can put that intention out there that you want to be the best that you can be. But you don't know when or how that's going to happen. You just create that in your mind. And this is what happened, is that when you make an invitation like that, when you make a decision that you want to be the best you can be, you ain't going to get that served on an easy platter. You are not going to get that as a straight, easy road to get there. What's going to happen is your kind of roadblocks are going to show up. The things that have always been part of your life or for a long time are going to show up, and it is not an easy road. It's worth it, but it's not an easy road because all of your fears show up. So what I realized in the cold light of the day, after several days of eating my body weight in chocolate, because that's my thing, is chocolate. I know for some people it's wine and other people it's all sorts of other things. But for me, chocolate's the thing for me, and nice puddings and things. And what it was in the cold light of day was cold, brutal fear. Because I know that to be the best that I can be means that I have to be more visible, I have to be more authentic. And if I'm going to be more authentic, then I'm going to be open to criticism, I'm going to be open to... If I'm going to lay myself out there, I'm open to the possibility of attack and vitriol and all sorts of things. And that's a very scary thing. But I would say coming out the other side of it at the moment is it's worth it. It is worth it to step up. It is worth it to make that decision. So what I want to say to you is, if you are struggling with food issues, I would really love you to look beyond it just being poor willpower, lack of discipline, badness, and all those kind of shaming things we say to ourselves. And I'd like you to ask yourself a question. And I call it the $1 billion question, and actually I've been writing about it all day because it's such an incredible subject. And the question is, what are you holding back from? What is it that you are scared of, or what is it that you're using the food to hold you back? Because that's what the food is doing. What it's doing is, on both an emotional and a physical level, it's suppressing, it's holding you back. And on a physical level, it's suppressing in the respect of stopping your body from being able to detoxify properly, creating dehydration, creating acidity. So there's a lack of movement, so there's stagnation. And so that's the physical. And on an emotional level, it's similar, because it's holding you back from moving forward. Because if you're stuffing yourself with loads of food, your energy's going to drop. And if your energy drops, you're not going to be able to do that thing that your soul really wants you to do and achieve in your life. So when I got to that realization that it was cold, brutal fear that had me stopped in my tracks, because I'd made a decision a few weeks ago, and it became so poignant to me with the coronavirus and the lockdown, that my business is very important to me, obviously. I'm a single mum and I'm the sole breadwinner of my family. And you know, there is that moment when you think, is my business going to get affected? And is that going to affect the family? But also in the back of my mind, I'd made a decision a long time ago to be the best that I can be, to bring my whole self to the table, to be able to support my clients and help them on their journey to realize their potential, to make their dreams come true. So the question I want to ask you is, if you are stuffing yourself with food, if you're finding it difficult to control your food intake, if you're thinking about food all of the day, if you're thinking about what can you eat next whilst you're eating a big meal, any of those things, then ask yourself the deeper question. Don't skip the judgment. Skip the, I've got no discipline, I've got no willpower, here we go again, I'm useless, I always do this, what's wrong with me? Skip it. And jump straight to the, what is it that my soul really wants me to step up to? Because this is the time, you know, we're in lockdown, we're in a pause, we're in a quiet moment. And this is the time to get in touch. What is it you want? I know that what I want is, I want to be the best I can be, and I want to live my life to the full, and I want to leave this world eventually, hopefully when I'm old, having done everything I can and having lived life to the full and thrown myself into it and harnessed my gifts, my natural gifts that I've been born with, and share those with the world. And like I say, to do that is not that easy, because we come with a few issues. We get handed down a load of stuff from our family history, from our ancestry, not only physical stuff, physical toxicity, but emotional stuff. So we come down, you know, say your grandmother had anxiety about paying the food bill. You know, the research shows that the emotional stuff can get handed down as well as the physical stuff. So we can take baggage from the past. We then have our childhood experiences, and nobody gets away with a perfect childhood. You can't, because our parents aren't perfect. Nobody's perfect. And so we will have experiences in childhood that cause us to change ourselves and adapt ourselves in order to survive. And in doing that, we tend to bury some of our essential self, some of our true self. We adapt ourselves. So we lose ourselves slightly, in a sense. And what happens in order to try to survive is we we get these kind of belief systems. We have these beliefs about ourselves. My belief is that I don't think I'm good enough. And that then impacts my daily life and every area of my life. I mean, it doesn't now because I'm aware of it. And I'm aware of when I use self-sabotage like food to try to cover that up because I don't feel good enough. So this is the work we do. Faddy diets don't work. Telling yourself off doesn't work. Sitting down and trying to use willpower doesn't work. It works for a short time, but it doesn't get underneath the drivers behind it. And what is so amazing about my discovery recently is that, yes, it was fear that was kind of holding me there, but actually underneath the fear is this desire to be the best that I can be. And that's a big thing, because to step in to be the best that I can be, like I say, means being more visible, means being more authentic, means being more honest with you guys and saying, yes, I am a nutritional therapist with nearly 30 years experience, but I have my issues too. And it's not easy. And I totally empathize with you when you're using food to numb out, to try to feel better. And you've got to know that when that happens, it is a calling by your soul. It is a calling by your inner being, your inner self, to step up, to change, not change your ways in a bad way, but to look at how your life could be. What is it you want from your life? What would make you happy? What's missing from your life? You know, is it a relationship? Is it a different career? Because what happens is when we use food like that, we are trying to hold ourselves back. And when we eat particularly junk food, it lowers our energy level, which is very effective because it's going to stop us from stepping up and grabbing what we want. And we've been taught in society to be selfless, to always think of others and not think of ourselves. And I would like to challenge that and suggest all of you have a sit down and think about what it is that would really make your life magnificent. You know, really dream about what it is that would really make you happy. What is missing from your life? What do you need? What do you want? What do you desire? And to make it a very clear statement. I made a very clear statement. I want to be the best that I can be. It's as simple as that. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want your life to look like? Because when you get clear about what you want, and this is the perfect time to do it because we're in this quiet time, the universe responds, because the universe is energy and we're energy too. And it's an exchange of energy, and the universe is a magnet. So you can have whatever you want, but you have to ask for it first. You have to get clear what it is you want. And then what the research shows is that the brain is like a GPS map. It will literally grow neural pathways to get you to that goal. And I'm not saying it's an easy road. I'm not saying you're handed a platter of luxuries and easiness. It isn't. It's going to, as soon as you make that decision that that's what you want, you're going to see exactly what the blocks are that are in your way of getting to where you want. If I'd known that when I said to myself, I want to be the best that I can be, that it was going to include me having to bring myself to the table and face all of my insecurities, admit to you guys that I'm not perfect, that I have food issues too, that I can have total chocolate fetishes. You know, that's a big deal, isn't it? It's a big deal. So that's the thing that I really wanted to talk to you about tonight, about food issues, is that if you can establish, you're not doing it just because it tastes good. you're doing it to feel better. Yes, of course, we use food to feel better, but you're also doing it to try to hold yourself back and hold yourself down, because by doing that, you don't have to face that invitation to bring yourself fully to the table, to become fully alive, to reach your full potential on this planet. And that is the thing that I would love you to take away with you tonight, is that if you are binging out on food, look at it, don't judge yourself. Get over the judgment. No criticism, no lack of willpower thing, lack of discipline. Put it all to one side, because it's deeper than that. It's much, much deeper than that. Get underneath what it is and why you feel the way you do, and what it is that your soul really wants and is asking of you in this moment. And that is a very different approach to the typical approach, which is that you've got lack of discipline and lack of willpower, because it's much more than that. There's something that's holding you back. So I just want to take a moment to say hi to all you gorgeous people. Hi, Christina. Hi, Marie. Hi, Jean. Hi, Chris. Hi, Natasha. Hi, Olivia. Hi, Astrid. Hi, Jane. And there's lots of others I can't see because I can't see you on there. I can only see a little eye with numbers on it. So that's the thing around food issues. If you want tips and tricks about how to deal with the food issues at the time they hit, I have got some other Facebook Lives lying around on my Facebook page, which you can have a look at. But actually, I have to tell you, as soon as I realised that the reason I was pigging out on food was because I was trying to hold my soul back from moving to the next stage, from stepping up and actually putting into action what I want, which is to be the best I can be, to be effective, to be a successful business owner, etc. As soon as I got that, the self-sabotage immediately dropped. The food intake completely settled down. It was a completely different experience. So if you want help with that, I'm here. If you're not on my mailing list, join my mailing list, because I'm going to be sending an email out about this. So if you've missed any bit of this, or I haven't spoken clearly enough about it, I'm writing about it as we speak in great detail, so that you can really get underneath what I'm talking about and also understand how I can help you going forward with this. But that is the key. Ask yourself, if you're pigging out on food at the moment, I know it's a difficult time. I know it's a very difficult time in the sense that you're being forced to go inward to some extent, and you might be experiencing boredom, you might be experiencing frustration, you might be experiencing all sorts of different emotions, because this has been put on us, this situation's been put on us like this. But it is such a wonderful, amazing time to do a deep dive into what is it you want most in your life. Don't be scared, write it down, get clear about it. If you want to talk to me about it, please do so. So that was the area I wanted to talk to you about tonight. And I'm just actually checking my notes to see that I have actually written, kind of told you everything about what I want to talk to you about. I think this is it. So what we're doing is, from childhood, we're tending to carry a lot of unresolved stuff. And I do think it is really helpful to unearth what those limiting beliefs are. So like I said, I've got the I'm not good enough. One of the reasons that I'm nervous to step up to being the best that I can be is, as I said, it requires me being more visible. It requires me being more transparent with you, more authentic, owning up to my imbalances and my difficulties in my life, which is scary because as a child, it wasn't safe to speak up. It's never felt safe to speak up. So this has been a big step for me, is to step up and say, I'm no longer scared. I'm taking care of little me who feels a little bit scared by all of this. I'm taking care of her, and I'm reading Christina's lovely message as I'm getting distracted. I'm taking care of me. But, whereas before when I talk about food issues and I'm talking about what steps you can take in the moment that the food issue hits, for example, drink a glass of water, distract yourself, take yourself off for a walk, do a chore, do those. Those are very useful, practical steps. But they don't explain the reason that the food issue is there to start with. So there's really 3 things to remember. One is to really unearth why you're doing this. Is it because, suddenly your job situation is changing and there's a possibility that you might need to develop a new career? Maybe in the back of your mind, you've been thinking about that for a while. Has this situation given you a wobble around finances? What is being triggered here by this situation that could give you an opportunity to not get scared by it, not be scared by it, but look at it as a possibility. You don't have to do anything about it. When I stated I want to be the best that I can be, I didn't then start looking at how I was going to do it. I just trusted. I said, I want to be the best I can be. I trust that I'm going to be shown the way. I'm trusting that I'm going to be guided in the right way and that it will unfold. But of course, as a reminder, as it unfolds, the challenges will appear, the fears will come up, the fears will get triggered. And the easiest way to suppress those fears is to have a delicious bar of chocolate or another glass of wine or a nice cigarette. Everybody's individual in what they choose. And it doesn't matter if you do it once or twice. I'm definitely not into this strict, perfect diet. And just because I'm not now self-sabotaging like I was recently, doesn't mean I'm now not having any chocolate or anything. It's just I'm having it in a way that is in a measured way, in a normal measured way, in an enjoyable way without overdoing it. So like I say, the key thing is that you do not beat yourself up, that you do not give yourself this thing about it being lack of self-discipline, lack of willpower. Please don't do that. Put it by the kitchen door. Look at your inner child. Nurture her in that moment, him or her. Take care of little her. Attend to her. And then look at the bigger picture. Try to see the bigger picture. Hi, Aluta. So Christina's saying, hi, Sophie. Yeah, she's saying this session is me down to a T. Good. Well, I'm hoping it's helpful for you. So that's really it. This is where we start. This is where we start. We start with looking at, what it's triggered in us and, what it's bringing up for us and, how we want our life to be. And what is the invitation here in that moment when we start suppressing with loads of yummy foods. And it doesn't matter if we do it occasionally, but if we're doing it as a routine, we need to take a look, don't we? So if you need to unearth this, do get in touch and let's have a chat about it. And I would absolutely love to help you. Just let me know. Now, the other subject, the thing I really wanted to just say also is that the big $1 billion question is, I've written this down, what are you holding back and using food to do it? What are you trying to suppress? What are you trying to keep small so you don't have to show up fully? And then the second question is, what is the cost of not showing up? What is the cost of not fulfilling your potential? You see, when you love your work, for example, in my situation, when you love your work, when you're passionate about it, when you are aligned with what you were born to do, you don't want to not fulfill your potential. You want to make it, you want to be the best you can be. You thrive on it. It's important to you. So, those are the sorts of questions to ask. What is the cost of not living your life to the full? Being all you can be, not only for yourself, but for the planet too. So imagine you are living life to the full. All your dreams are coming true. You feel fulfilled. You have loving relationships. You have a job that you've always dreamed of doing that imparts your gifts to the world. You know, all sorts of other things, whatever else. Imagine if you're doing that, your vibration is going to be so high. It's going to be so positive and so high. Imagine how that translates to the world around you. Imagine how transformative you will be to the world around you, to the people around you and the world around you. And when we are functioning from our highest self, from our highest potential, that's when we can find the solutions to the world's distress, to the world's pain. So I know I talk a lot about us and me and self, and this is because, like Gandhi says, we can't be the change we want to see in the world unless we start it with us. So that's why I go on about sorting yourself out, because then you can give from a place of fullness and high vibration, and that is going to have transformative effects on this beautiful world of ours. So it's a big thing to recognize when you're stuffing the food in that you are not a bad person, you have not done anything wrong, you are in pain, you are in fear, you are in jealousy, you are bored, all of those things. It doesn't really matter why you're doing it, but you're doing it for a very important reason, and that is because you don't want to rise to the occasion. You don't want to hear what your soul is trying to tell you, which is, come on, step up, time to move up, time to step out of that job you hate. I'm not saying leave it straight away. Make sure you've, done it in an ordered way. I'm not saying leave your job or anything, but you do get what I'm saying, is you're getting underneath what it is that is going to bring light to you and light to everyone and the world around you. So what needs to change? And I know it's scary. I'm sitting here being very open with you, and I'm not scared right now because I've made a decision, but I can assure you in the lead up to this, there is a lot of fear because I'm sharing a lot of myself with you, but I feel that is so key to help you on your journey to reach your absolute full potential and live the life of your dreams. You deserve it. Don't let anybody tell you that you don't. So yeah, this is what I've put, let's do the work to get you to sleep peacefully and know you are a beautiful soul and you are capable of more than being in a place of low energy, stress, misery and lack. So I keep repeating myself, but I just want to make sure you get it. And the research shows that when people listen to other people, we only retain 10% of the information. So that's why I'm repeating myself so much. So if you can go away and write down the question, what is holding me back? What do I really want in my life? What's missing in my life? How do I want my life to be? If I could have anything I wanted, how could it look? What would it look like? That is what I'd love you to do, and sit with it and dream it and allow it, and then just see what unfolds, and see when you grab that bar of chocolate or grab that second glass of wine or whatever it is, sit with it, enjoy it if you want to have it. Don't beat yourself up. And look at my other Facebook Lives for suggestions around managing those food cravings. But actually, if you can figure out what this big thing is, this big calling, and that's why the food is coming in as such a major distraction, then that's going to be a massive thing. The second thing I wanted to talk to you about, which my friend encouraged me to talk to you about this evening, which is the guilt around our kids. So I know there's a number of us who are working from home, who've got kids at home. And I listened to an incredible woman, and I don't know if it's going to help you, any of you parents out there who are struggling with lots of kids or kids around you and, not having any help. And this is what she said. And I really hope it helps you because it made me laugh. So she is called Glennon Doyle. She's an incredible author. She's brought out a book called Untamed. I encourage you to follow her on Facebook. She does morning meetings, and what I'm going to talk about is in one of those morning meetings. And she was on the phone to a friend, and in the background, her 4-year-old child was screaming. And Glennon said to her friend, "What on earth's going on?" And her friend said, "This is hell. This lockdown is hell. My child never stops screaming. The only time he's quiet is when he has 2 hours of TV time." Glennon Doyle responded, 2 hours of TV time? And this is what she said. "We are in," and I'm trying to quote her, but obviously it's not a full quote. "We are in a global pandemic," she said. And this is an unprecedented situation. And what she said was, she used to run a preschool. And she said the only thing the children ever remembered was the last thing they did. So she said to her friends, start strong and finish strong. Start strong, so give them a good breakfast, read them a nice book, and end strong. Have a good meal, play some board games, watch a comedy together, end strong. And then she said, 7 or 8 quick hours in front of the TV. 7 or 8 quick hours in front of the TV. Now you've got to watch this. She's on Facebook. She's under Glennon Doyle, and she is absolutely hilarious. And I'll tell you how this relates to me and my situation. I have 3 boys who are teenagers who are currently staying with their dad who lives in England. I didn't want to bring them over here for a holiday because they would have had 14 days isolation, and so would I, and I didn't want that. So they're ensconced with their dad, but I have my 11-year-old, soon to be 12-year-old daughter. And ever since the lockdown and she left school, I have struggled with, do I stop what I'm trying to do work-wise and try to get her into some kind of structure and play board games with her and do homework with her and all of those things. And I couldn't really bring myself to do it because I love my work. I'm a single parent. I need to work, and I just couldn't do it. So I made sure she had good meals, and I'd encourage and invite her out for a walk, but she broke her leg and she's now out of her cast and she's hobbling about, but going for a walk isn't really a possibility. So you can imagine my situation. And so the kind of first week went by and not much got done. And then the second week went by and there was literally one day when she had a really successful day, self-motivated, doing projects. And I have to admit as a mother that I am not one of those mothers that stands over my children. I, particularly at her age, believe in self-motivation, and I just believe in creating as healthy an environment as I can, and then trusting my child to be self-motivated, to actually want to sort herself out and create activities throughout the day that are good for her brain and her soul. But I was a bit concerned because 2 weeks went by and not a lot got done, and there was a lot of screen time and a lot of lazing about. But she was happy. And she wasn't complaining that she wasn't able to see her friends, and I was seriously grateful about that. And but I was a little bit worried. So in the women's circle, I said, they asked how are you, whatever, and I said I am struggling because I'm torn between should I be stepping up as a parent and doing her homework with her and doing all sorts of things with her, and my heart didn't want to do it. And when I tried to do it with her, I got a very negative reaction. And part of me just thought, you know what? It's 2 of us in this house. I'd rather have a happy, peaceful atmosphere than have an angsty, irritable teenager who's feeling like she's being told what to do. It's a global pandemic. It's not going to go on forever. If she's 4 or 5 weeks lying in front of a TV, not doing a great deal, I'm kind of not going to give myself a hard time about it. And when I did that, when I let go of all that angst, it was almost miraculous. The following day, she said, "Mummy, I want to go swimming." I thought, wow. So we went down to the beach and she swam in the sea. And then from then on, of course, now she wants to swim in the sea. We get outside, we get in the sunshine, she gets in the sea. She's still having a lot of hours, chilling out, doing her TikTok, watching YouTube, doing whatever she wants. And I'm leaving her to it. It's a very hands-off approach. But can I tell you something? For me, it's working. I don't know whoever's watching who might be thinking that this is the most terrible parenting you've ever heard. I don't really care because it's working for me. But I'll tell you something that happened again with this hands-off parenting. Last night, I left the kitchen in a complete mess. It was both her mess and my mess. And I went upstairs to my 2-hour women's circle. And I was sat upstairs and I could hear all this noise in the kitchen downstairs. And I thought, that's interesting. And then I went up back, I was sat at my women's circle meeting and she popped in and she went, "Don't come downstairs." Well, I wasn't coming downstairs. I was in a women's circle, which I loved. 2 hours later, I come downstairs. Don't come in, she says. Okay. Then she goes, no, you can come in. And she has completely left the kitchen spotless. She hasn't even put anything in the dishwasher. She's washed it all up, dried it all up. The kitchen is spotless. She's made freshly squeezed orange juice, which she said we're going to have today, this morning, tomorrow, the next day. And I'm going to make you a fry up tomorrow. And then off she went and we went to bed and that was that. So if you're having a hard time, mums, dads, if you're trying to work from home, if you have, chosen during this lockdown that you would like to do some work on yourself, I enrolled in a sort of little online course myself. If you want to read some books, if you want to do this and that, I would really encourage you to do the hands-off approach and to use the TV, the screen time, use it. And you will laugh your socks off when you watch Glennon Doyle, because at one point she says, now if your child gets up while he or she's watching the telly and says, I'm bored, say to him or her, you can do hard things. We can do hard things. You can do hard things. Sit back down. You can do hard things. And if they say they want a drink, she says, tell them to go get the drink themselves. That's their PE lesson. And honestly, you will be laughing your socks off when you watch it. Anyway, I hope this is a little bit of a lightener for you. I know that it's not easy out there. Like I say, with kids at home, trying to work from home, but also even if you're not trying to work from home, if you're just wanting to have a break and just do something for you, just do something for you. And children learn by your example. How well you take care of yourself, that is how they learn how to take care of themselves. And the number of clients I see who have learned from their mothers how not to take care of themselves, how to run themselves ragged and exhausted, and they've passed that down to their daughters, and then those daughters pass it down to their daughters. I would encourage you to try it. See what you think. I don't know what you think, guys. Comment if you want, but that's kind of been my approach, and I just feel so blessed. And like I say, this pandemic's not going to go on forever, and it's working for me. So those are kinds of my tips, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody got anything to say? What do you think? Am I crazy? Do I need to be putting her in French lessons and things? I can't do it. I'm just letting her do what she wants, being wild. So lots of love to you all. Great, Karen. Good to hear it. If you've just joined, hi Kate. If you've just joined and you want to hear about the food issues side, then this Facebook Live is available on my Facebook page. You can listen to it anytime. You've got to know that you are the most important thing on this planet. You've got to know that if you are binging out on food, it is not time to criticize yourself about it. It is time to look at what is going on for you in your life and what do you want to be different and how do you want to feel, and make it a positive. It's not about cutting things out. It's not about going on an exercise regime that makes you miserable. It's about creating your best life, and it's about making your dreams come true. And don't let anybody tell you that you can't have your dreams, because you can have your dreams. It might not be a straight road. There might be a few obstacles in the way that you need to confront, but that's a positive thing. You know, we're here to evolve. So that's my story I'm sharing with you tonight, that my food issues came up for me recently. I've always had a sweet tooth, and that's where my food issues come in, is excessive amounts of chocolate at times. But it's just highlighting, it's just a signal, it's just a sign not to beat myself up, just to take a deep dive in and see what it is that my soul wants me to move forward with. What choice have I made? What choices am I making that I want my life to be better? And I'm using the food to stop that process of evolving to my best self, because by eating the food, it'll hold me back, it'll hold me still, it'll hold me small, it'll hold me low in energy, possibly nauseous, sluggish, bloated, gunky. But beating yourself up is the wrong way. So if you're interested, get in touch, and I would be utterly delighted to support you in your journey to becoming your absolute best self. So love to you all. Mwah! Oh, good. Christina's saying, loving the parenting tip. I've not been running a tight ship either. It's been great. Good. I'm so glad. Lots of love to all of you. And do private message me and say hi. I'd love to have a chat. I hope you're keeping healthy, and if you need help, you know where I am. So big hug. Mwah, 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 mwah.